I would like to just say thank you for joining us on this evening's webinar. I know everyone is very busy, but I think this will definitely be a worthwhile hour for you. My name is Lana Schultz. I'm the Senior Director of Practice Development for BioHorizons, and we're very excited to partner with Progressive Dental to present today's free one-hour webinar on dental implant marketing and case presentation. My primary goal with the company is to help our customers place more implants through patient education and marketing tools. At BioHorizons, we strongly believe that we have the best, most comprehensive product portfolio to assist you with your dental implant needs, but we also recognize that we must innovate beyond the product to provide our customers with tools and solutions to help you grow your practice. So that is why I'm so excited to have partnered with Progressive Dental and today's speaker, Bart Knellinger, to help you do just that. When I met Bart, the president of Progressive Dental Marketing, at one of his marketing courses in Chicago a few years ago, I saw that Bart truly understands how to help dentists achieve their marketing goals in an exciting, practical, and effective way. Progressive Dental Marketing is a full-service agency that specializes in dental marketing, particularly for dental implants and high-value cases, and Bart's helped thousands of clinicians. I know he'll be an amazing resource to you now to share tips and tricks on things you can do to implement in your practice to acquire more dental implant patients and gain higher case acceptance. So I don't want to steal his thunder, but before I introduce him, just a quick housekeeping item. Please note that all callers are muted, and if you have any questions, if you'll type them into the chat or the questions box on your dashboard, and we'll get to them after the presentation. There will be an FAQ at the end that will probably address many of your questions, but we will have the opportunity for Q&A at the very end. So with that, I am very pleased to introduce Bart Knellinger, who started Progressive Dental in 2009. After recognizing a need for marketing and consulting services within the dental field. Bart has helped thousands of practices identify areas for growth, and he's been noted as one of the leading innovators in dentistry today. He's spoken for some of the industry's largest organizations, including BioHorizons, the American Academy of Implant Dentistry, the Dawson Academy, the Pankey Institute, and he was recognized on the Business Observer's 2015 40 Under 40 for Tampa Bay, and has driven Progressive Dental to be recognized on the Inc. 5000 list of America's fastest growing privately held companies from 2014 to 2018. So I know you'll appreciate hearing about his extensive experience and how it can help you. So with that, I will go ahead and turn it over to you, Bart.
Thanks, Lana. Thank you. Hey, guys, I'm really excited to have the opportunity to speak with you guys tonight. Appreciate everybody logging on. It's very exciting. We've been working with BioHorizons for probably close to going on 2 years now. And definitely out of all of the implant companies out there, these guys were probably the best and the most forward thinking when it comes to the thought process that, hey, we need to do more than just sell implants. We have to help our doctors become more successful with implants. And everybody there was really on board with that message. So I've really enjoyed my time with them, and really enjoyed helping the BioHorizon doctors. So I appreciate everyone getting on the line today. I'll give you just a quick little intro about myself and who we are and what we do. So as Lana said, the name of the company is Progressive Dental. We're formerly known as Progressive Dental Marketing. I ended up dropping the marketing, rebranding it as Progressive Dental because our business model just kind of switched to where we were doing more than just advertising for doctors. We have a full service agency. We're located in Clearwater, Florida, so just right next to Tampa Bay. We're full service, so we handle everything from the design and the development of marketing services through the implementation process, and we also have we're fully CE accredited, CERP accredited, and we hold continuing education courses around the country, in addition to our mentorship course called the Closing Institute, which is just specifically for treatment coordinators presenting large multi-implant cases and full arch cases. So the reason we actually rebranded is because a lot of what we were asked to do was not just to advertise and just bring patients in for our doctors. but to bring in specific types of cases. So most of the time, our doctors didn't have a goal to just, double the practice by seeing double the amount of patients. So our goal is always to grow the practice and increase the profit margin in the most efficient manner possible. And I don't know too many other ways outside of generating a lot of multi-dental implant cases that is faster, more efficient way to do that. So that's one of the things that we really, really focus on. But there's with every good there's bad, and every pro there's cons. So with big cases, with big case marketing, you can generate all the leads, but if we don't know how to close them, we don't have financing options, we don't know how to show the patient they're getting a good deal, we don't have a sales process, and we don't have a process for the treatment coordinator to follow, then a lot of times the marketing can work great, but we have a problem with the ROI because we're not closing any of them. So I look at our company as, really what kind of sets us apart is the fact that we're full service. We assist our clients with planning, the strategy, developing, doing all of the design, engineering the entire marketing program, and then coaching and mentoring the team members to make sure that we're closing the cases, the patients are accepting treatment, and they're getting a really healthy return on their investment, because that's the goal of the whole thing. So like Lana said, we've been in business since about 2009. We've done very well. I think this year was our 6th year in a row on the Inc. 5000 list. So we've grown very fast, but not because we put on hundreds and hundreds of clients. It's because we retain the clients that we have. And I've learned a lot from the clients that we have. Out of all of our client base, we probably have, I'd say 50% of it are specialists. The other 50% are general dental practices or multidisciplinary practices that are placing implants. But we have close to 900 clients throughout the United States and Canada, and a couple international clients. So we've got a good mix, but we're very, very well known for marketing campaigns with anything that has to do with dental implants, full mouth reconstructions, big cosmetic cases. Anything that's a high dollar procedure is usually what we're focusing on here. So why is the new era different when it comes to marketing dental implants? That's what you guys want to know. You want to know, hey, how do we get more patients in here? How do we build that side of our practice? It's one of the hottest markets that's around right now. It's huge already, but it's growing every single day. But there's also a lot of changes that have occurred over the last 4 or 5 years as it pertains to advertising. And I think one of the biggest differences, what we have to really think about right now, just with the increase in the competition and the commoditization in the market and some other challenges that I'll go through in a little bit more detail, I think the new era just we really have to focus on adapting a true sales mentality when it comes to advertising for these big cases. And we have to understand that right now we have to be able to compete. It's not enough anymore to, we can't put an ad in the yellow pages and just get dental implant cases. You're not just going to pop up a website and get these big dental implant cases. Even the leads that you get from the advertising, a lot of these people are contacting 3, 4, 5 different practices. So in the new era, we've got to understand that we need to compete for the business, and that we're not the only ones out there that want to do larger cases. If you do larger cases and you become efficient at it, you have more time on your hands. You've got more free time. You can double, triple revenue without increasing your infrastructure, without expanding your facility. There's a lot of great things that can come from it. But in every market, big or small, it's just becoming more and more competitive. So those practices that have somebody that's dedicated to following up with the leads, answering the phone, getting them scheduled correctly, somebody that's focused on doing that, focused on bringing the patients in, is somebody that is a huge help. Having a treatment coordinator that understands that person is your number one salesperson, and having them trained up on a sales process that's going to help, understanding the strategies and what does the message need to be that's going to resonate with patients on an emotional level, and what are the most modern, most effective ways of getting that message in front of our patients. And I'm going to go through several different examples with you guys over the next 45 minutes. But the biggest thing that's evolved is the competition and the mindset that it requires. Now, anybody can, if you just start placing dental implants, I mean, you're going to grow organically just from regular patients that you get, but that's not really the purpose of the webinar. The purpose of the webinar is to give you guys kind of a blueprint or an idea in regards to how to grow and hit a certain number. A lot of my clients will have goals that might be, hey, we'd like to do one arch a month, and we'd like to get up to 300 implants. I have other practices where they have a goal to do 20 arches a month. We've got other practices where they have a goal to do 30, 40. We've got some that do 10. So it doesn't matter, but whatever your goal is, there needs to be a goal, and then we have to understand that we have to be ready to compete for the business, and we have to follow up with patients, and we have to be aggressive in that pursuit. So a couple objectives. Number one, I want to share some of the biggest factors that will determine your success or failure. Okay, as it pertains to two main categories. One being patient acquisition. So how do we acquire dental implant patients? And then the second being conversion. Once we have them in the practice, what are some of the things we can do to get them moving forward at a higher closing percentage? Also want to give you some practical, real-world strategies that you're going to be able to implement immediately following the webinar. I mean, there's big misses that are very, very easy to correct that everyone on this webinar is going to have a chance to do. So, out of the campaigns we've probably run over the years, who knows, 3,000, 4,000 different campaigns in different markets. So I've seen campaigns that have worked very, very well where the doctors had a great ROI. I've had campaigns that were complete and utter failures and struggled to even generate the leads. And I've had campaigns that generated a lot of leads, but the leads didn't close well. So there's a lot of different things that I've been able to see from a 10,000-foot view in terms of what are some anomalies, and then what are really just the rules surrounding this. So I'm going to focus on the rules with you guys. I'm not going to take you through and show you a bunch of websites and go through some ads that we can run on social media or show you a TV commercial or anything like that. We're going to stick to strategy and the biggest things that you can do from a strategic standpoint to really get ahead in the dental implant market and make everything that you do later on, regardless of how you advertise, we want to make that more effective. So right now we've got a huge market. 23 million people are completely edentulous. By 2020, 45 million senior citizens are likely to require at least one dental implant. It's huge. nearly 70% of adults between the ages of 35 and 44 have lost at least one permanent tooth. So there's no shortage here. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons why, out of 10 calls that we get, probably 8 of the doctors that call are interested in advertising specifically for dental implants right now, and for good reason. Once you have your experience, your clinical experience, and your speed picks up, when you can complete these cases fast with a high degree of certainty, there's very, very few things you can do that are going to bring in more revenue at the same profit margin that a large multi-implant case is going to bring in for the practice. So it's a huge market, and it's something that we do every single day. And it doesn't matter what market you're in, whether you're in a large market or a medium market or a very, very small market. I've run campaigns in them. Right, we've got clients in every single major market and most of the mid markets. So, there's certain things that if they don't go right, it won't work, regardless of what market you're in. The things that are more market contingent are going to be the tactic that you use to deliver your message. In small markets, your traditional media and things like television and radio, they're much more cost effective and affordable than they are in major markets. In major markets, they have a huge advantage from an online perspective because there's a lot more awareness and a lot more search as it revolves around dental implants. So there's pros and cons to everything. We'll take all those factors into consideration, but I'm going to really focus on sticking to the rules today, so, to where it doesn't matter if you're in a big or small market. Things I'm going to show you need to be done irregardless of your location. And by the way, that is one thing that I hear all the time from doctors or team members. It's something that they'll say a lot in courses is, hey, Bart, my area is a little bit different. But if I had a nickel for every time they said my area is a little bit different. But in reality, it's really, there's a degree of truth to it. But it doesn't matter, right? Because, theoretically, every area is different because they're different areas, right? So, yeah, they're different, but the same rules apply, okay? The same exact rules apply. So let's talk about some of the things that are happening right now in the marketplace that make it difficult for us to pick up market share. Market share as it pertains to implants and full arch cases. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of doctors are placing dental implants. I have some doctors that are fabulous surgeons or they're just great dentists and they can do a lot of these cases, but they struggle to get over 200-300 implants a year. And then I've got other, and they'll say, well, a lot of these patients can't afford it. My area this, my area that. But I've got another client in the area that does 1,200 implants. So the patients are out there. There's just some factors that have to be addressed. Okay. So number one, the biggest thing that's increased is the level of competition. The level of competition in terms of the marketing dollars that are being spent in implants is equivalent to if you go back to 2003, 2004, 5, 6, when the economy was really booming and everyone was dumping tons of money into advertising for cosmetic dentistry. That was big, much larger than dental implants back then. It's cosmetic dentistry. Then all of a sudden it stopped being about finding a good cosmetic dentist, and they started to segment the market. They say, okay, I'm not going to advertise cosmetic dentistry or how to get a beautiful smile anymore. Now it's going to be about whitening. Now it's going to be about veneers. It's going to be about lumineers. It starts becoming more about the procedure than it does the clinical outcome. And it's no different with dental implants right now. Every day, someone different is taking a course to learn how to place them, and they're starting to advertise. So it's just not as easy as just throwing up a dental implant page on the website anymore. The patients have more options. There's more GPs placing implants now than there are, or GPs are placing more implants than surgeons are now, which has never been the case. So, when patients need a procedure like a multi-implant case, they need a full arch, it's not something that most people will take very, very lightly. Once you start getting over that $10,000 mark in terms of expenditure, they're going to spend 7 to 10 times longer doing research. They're going to spend more time trying to figure out what the fair market value is or where they can get the best bang for their buck. And they have a lot of access. There's a lot of choices for people right now. So when there's a lot of choices and a lot of people are advertising, you have what's called a clutter effect. And it's very, very important, to be able to show how are we different from the competition, how do we stand out, and do it very, very quickly as soon as they see you. Because as it comes to advertising, perception is reality. Perception is more important than the reality. Because if you don't have the perception of being a subject matter expert or being a figure of authority in your area, then it becomes very difficult to get the easy cases. And what I mean by easy cases are people that know they have a need, they want to get it fixed, they want a better quality of life, but they also want to go to a doctor that's going to get it done the right way the first time. And those are usually going to be, your second opinions, things like that. And those people are looking for specific doctors to go to. So I'll show you guys a couple different ways to help out the perception when they are looking for that. But with the competition, I wouldn't be worried about the competition unless you don't have a strategy, right? If you don't have a strategy, worry about it, because odds are you're never going to be the cheapest in town. I mean, I've seen which will actually take us to our next challenge, which is commoditization. I saw an ad recently that was advertising free dental implants. Yep, it's gotten all the way down to free. So, they're probably charging $3,000 for a crown or something to go on the implant, but they're literally advertising free dental implants. So, given the fact that half of our clientele are periodontists and oral surgeons and the other half are multidisciplinary practices, our clientele is far from doctors that are offering the cheapest implants. I mean, far from that. It's almost the exact opposite. Most of them are going to be in the top 5% in terms of fees. So when it comes to commoditization, if you don't have a strategy for, hey, what can we advertise that can't be commoditized? If you don't have a strategy to guard against that, then you're going to struggle because it can't be all about the implants. If it's all about the implants, then you're going to have a problem. The good news is, with the increase in competition, there's very few doctors that understand what they actually need to advertise to get big implant cases consistently, right? Most people and practices that advertise, the entire campaign revolves around the implant itself. It revolves around the implant or the procedure, and I don't care what it is. If it's Teeth Express, or if it's All on 4 or DM or High Bridge or Teeth Tomorrow or whatever they're advertising is like a specific type of procedure or product, but it all boils down to implants. There is not an implant or a procedure or a product in the world that cannot be commoditized, right? If you look at things like, if you look at products like Invisalign, for instance, Invisalign's been advertised so much, but it's all just about Invisalign. It's stopped being about a clinical outcome, and people just shop it. That's it. They're just, Invisalign's Invisalign. It doesn't matter where you go. Just get it for the best price. And that's what happens with commoditization. And that's why I have a lot of clients that say, yeah, I've done advertising, but Bart, look, we got a ton of price shoppers and they weren't qualified and this, that, and the other. And I tell them, hey, that just because they're shopping price doesn't mean they're qualified. They're shopping price because everyone advertises price. So you advertise price, you're going to get price shoppers. It's not like that they're all going to be bad leads. There's easy ways to convert them, but there's also other ways that you can advertise completely different than everyone in your area to where you're not really competing with them. The Ritz-Carlton doesn't really compete for the same market as a Holiday Inn, even though, they might be across the street from each other, but they're just talking to two different markets. Now that's an extreme case. It's a polarizing case in terms of two businesses, but they are both hotels. In dentistry, the lines are just more blurred, right? Because it's not about the experience that you have when you go to the dentist as much as it's about the particular procedure or product that you're interested in getting, as it pertains to dental implants anyways. So competition, commoditization, two big challenges. Lack of a strategy. Most of the time when we do a consultation and we're making an assessment of a marketing program, and you start talking about the basics of a strategy, and I say, okay, explain to me where you're trying to take the practice in the future as it pertains to implants. Where are you trying to take the practice? What type of business model do you want? And who are we targeting? Who are we targeting with the marketing? What is your message? What are your assets? Basic things. And usually one of the biggest mistakes is jumping right into a tactic. So there's usually very, very little discussion about, okay, what is our strategy going to be successful? And there's a lot more discussion on, hey, let's do social media. Let's do direct mail. Let's have an implant seminar. And it's just all very, very, it's a very tactic based, which the tactics can change all the time. We have some tactics that work in markets and they don't work in other markets. And sometimes you have one, you think you got it figured out, and then you run it again and it doesn't work. So you're always going to change up your methodology of delivering your message. That's not something that you're ever going to be able to really set and just forget forever, or at least you wouldn't want to. But your strategy is something that should be built off of something that's long term. It should be more of a 10,000-foot view roadmap of what we're going to do. No internal sales process, huge challenge. right? So if we have a lot of times we'll have practices and they're not used to treatment planning for big cases often. Some are, but a lot aren't. They're not used to treatment planning, for full arch cases several times a week. And all of a sudden when the advertising starts and you have somebody that's used to doing, an arch a month, and all of a sudden they have 45 full arch consultations, they're trying to throw these full arch consultations into the same process that any new patient would go into, and it's a disaster. I mean, it is just a complete disaster. That it's not the same. It's just not. When you have somebody coming in that needs a lot of work, it's going to be a different process. But there's added complications with dental implant marketing as well, because triage is a major component of this. We can make the phone ring and we can get the inquiry sent over, but we still have to understand the market that we're dealing with. There will be some patients that don't qualify. There'll be patients that don't have any money. There'll be patients that think it's Medicaid. Medicaid's going to cover the whole thing. You're going to get a mix. So you have to have a treatment planning process that can withstand some triage, right? You have to be able to triage these people to where you're not going to spend 90 minutes or spend 60 minutes with every single consultation that you get from advertising just to learn 60 minutes later after you've worked the case up that they think it's $200. We just can't have it. There's just not enough time for it. There's too many people that need implants, and we can bring in too many leads. So we have to be able to put these people through a different type of sales process, something that's going to involve the treatment coordinator more so than the doctor. And that's been a big shift for us, is training our practices and our treatment coordinators like, hey, the treatment coordinator needs to be the quarterback for these types of patients. They meet them when they get there. They're with them the entire visit if they're coming in for a full arch or a multi-implant case. And I'll go into a little bit more into the sales process that we train on for this, but it's been huge because a lot of times we don't have blocks for new patients. We don't have a different consultation for a referred patient if you're a specialist, a referred patient consultation versus an unqualified patient. We just don't have those systems. And if you don't have the systems and you start advertising, even if everything works great and you have a ton of leads and you've got lots of opportunities, it can really create havoc. So not having an identified sales process and not having any type of standardization is a big concern. And then no sales training. I mean, this was, I just came to this epiphany, like, oh my God, we don't have one salesperson in this practice. Not one. Nobody with any sales experience is here. So we've got somebody that's responsible for closing the cases with an administrative background, and they don't even believe that they're in sales. And these are cases, these are people that are shopping. These are people that have 2-3 different treatment plans trying to make their mind up. They have to be closed. But there's been no sales training, and there really isn't any sales training that I even know of in dentistry that trains on how to sell like this. All the patients are not created equal. That when you see the treatment amounts increase, as soon as that dollar amount starts increasing, the case acceptance starts decreasing simultaneously. And I meet a lot of people and they say, oh, the treatment coordinator, my treatment coordinator closed at 80%. And immediately that they don't, because nobody does, right? Not if you're advertising, okay? Save maybe some specialists that are 100% referral based because the patients are pre-sold when they get there. Save that. But if you're advertising, 80%, you're not going to have 80% of the leads even be qualified, okay, to buy. So number one, that, okay, they don't really know their numbers. And number two, a lot of the patients that come in, they already have a sense of urgency and they're already moving forward. So you're going to have a certain percentage of laydowns. But when we actually start tracking it, we see that the close percentage usually with a new client we're starting out in, when it comes to advertising and getting in unqualified patients through the door, you're talking for implants, you're talking between 20 and 30% is where a lot of them are starting off from. Our goal is to get them up to 50%. 50% is fabulous. 50% is amazing. So just creating some opportunity for your treatment coordinators to receive sales training, understand how to close, understand how to handle simple objections like, let me think about it. That's a simple objection. And people struggle with handling it all the time. How to handle when people are asking you, how much is this? How much is that? Can you do better than this? Easy stuff. Those are all buying questions. But there's just there's not a lot of places that you can go to get that information, especially in our industry. So something to really understand when you're thinking about marketing, and I get this a lot, but doctors say, well, how long does it take me to get a return on my investment, or what's my return on my investment going to be with the advertising, Bart, if I do this? And I always tell them, your return is not predicated on your marketing. It's not. When you spend dollars in advertising, what you're paying for is you're paying for traffic, you're paying for eyeballs, you're paying for impressions. That's it. That's what you pay for, right? So if you think about it like this, if you're going to buy a billboard, the price is going to be determined by how many people are going to drive by that billboard every day. That's it. That's what you pay for. That's all, right? So if you have a billboard with a weak message on it, even if it's in a great location, right, and you get it for a good cost per thousand in terms of what you're paying for the impressions, doesn't mean that it's going to produce any leads. None, right? Pay per click, right? You're paying for clicks through Google. Every time they click, you pay. Okay, whether they call you or send in an inquiry has nothing to do with the money that you paid, right? You paid, you got the click. So advertising does not pay, your dollars do not pay for the leads, and they don't pay for the patients, and they don't pay for the production, okay? Leads are going to be determined by the quality of your messaging and your assets, right? So what are they looking at? If we run a TV ad, what kind of TV ad is it that's running? How good is it? The better the assets you have, the more leads you're going to get, and that's what's going to determine the leads. And then whether the lead turns into a patient and actually moves forward and turns into production is a direct result of your sales process. So it's all of these things in one. And that's really why, in order for us to be successful, no matter what happens, even if the marketing works well, if my clients don't get a return, it's only a certain amount of time before they're going to cancel because it doesn't make sense. Usually with advertising companies say, well, our job is to get the phone to ring and your job is to do everything else. But I don't see it that way. I come from a family of dentists. My dad is a dentist and got 3 sisters, 2 of which are in practice with him now. My mom worked there. I just think it's something that's very difficult to do. It's an owner-operator type business. You don't have a traditional infrastructure like other businesses with a director of HR and a director of marketing and a CFO to handle your finances and a COO to handle operations and performance evaluations. It's one person that has to do it, 1 or 2 people, and it's very difficult. So that's kind of why we've created this process of handling not only the advertising, but also assisting with the leads and the closing process to make sure that it can be as predictable as possible. Okay, but just understand this: when you're paying for advertising, you're paying for eyeballs. So before you create a budget or choose how you're going to advertise, the first thing that we have to do is we have to set our goals and understand basic strategy. Okay, a lot of doctors, when they come out right out of the gate, they'll say, Bart, how much does it cost to work with you guys? Or how much does it cost for me to actually advertise dental implants in my area? And I said, look, your budget and what you do to advertise and your timeline is just, all of that is going to should immediately reflect your goals. It should all make sense. Okay, so if you've got a goal to get to 10 arches a month, your budget and your strategy is going to look a lot different than somebody that's got a goal to do 1 arch a month. So there's no set price in advertising, right? When you think about marketing for dental implants, you have to start with a goal, and you got to be specific about it. Okay, so not just we want to place this many dental implants. No, what types of cases? What can you guys do? Because we're going to have a certain percentage. There's a market out there for removable prosthetics. You know, your bar overdentures, your locator cases, things like that. There's a huge market for it. There's another, and a market that's different than the full arch, right? But then you have your full arch market with your fixed prosthetics and your zirconia and nano ceramic and different things like that. There's a market for it. There's a market for singles. There's a market for failing and ailing dental implants to actually redo cases. So there's a lot of different ways to advertise, but you have to have goals and you have to be specific. Without the goal, I can't make a recommendation, because we don't really just have bundles to give to you and say, oh, you can do this for 1,000 and this for 2,000 and this for 5,000, this for 10. It doesn't matter the dollar. It only matters, is the strategy going to give you enough opportunities for you to fail a lot and still and still hit your goals and still get a good ROI. So that's the first thing that has to happen, right? Got to set your goals and set a time frame. A good starting place is 12-month goals. What do you want? How many implants? How many arches? How many removables? Just what are some of the goals there? And that helps with creating strategy. But then you have to understand the basics of the strategy. And if you guys understand this, if you understand some of the basics here, you can be very effective in managing and running any of the marketing companies that you might work with in the future. So the basic strategy when it comes to advertising and sales is the same thing, right? You have marketing and you have sales. You're selling through a consultation process. You're selling through dialogue. In advertising, we sell through media. We're selling through copy. We're even selling through photography. One picture says 1,000 words, but it's selling something. Question is, what are we selling? Okay, so the basic strategy for any sales and marketing plan, irregardless of industry, is going to revolve around the psychology of the patient that we want to target. Okay, the psychology of the patient. So what do they want? There's a couple different things that you guys need to know here. Okay, number one is that people buy what they want; they don't buy what they need, and this is especially true with big cases. Okay, people are going to spend money that's over the buying threshold, that's over the threshold that doesn't cause any type of stress or nervousness. Once it gets over that, they really need to want to do it. If they just need to do it but they don't want it, people have a tendency to procrastinate. And they have a tendency to just do whatever is the minimum. Okay, and one thing to understand, guys, they don't want implants. Okay, but most of the time they don't want to go to the dentist in the first place, right? They're there out of a need. They're there because the pain in their life reached a critical point where they could just no longer procrastinate anymore. A lot of these leads we get, these are terminal dentition leads. These are people with terminal dentition. It doesn't get that way overnight. They procrastinated forever because they didn't want to do anything. They just kind of lived with it. Okay. The problem is when they don't want something and they come in, if they don't have a compelling vision for the future, they're just going to want whatever is fastest and cheapest. That's it. So these are the people that are going to pick apart the treatment plan. They're going to come in and say, doc, just look at this tooth, just this one tooth. Don't look anywhere else. Just extract it. Be done with it. Let me go. Right? It's because they haven't thought about it yet. So a lot of what we're going to work on with the advertising and the sales is how do we help them create a compelling vision for how they are going to feel after the clinical outcome, right? So we can't advertise and sell procedures anymore. We have to advertise and sell clinical outcomes and the emotions that the patients are going to experience after they receive that clinical outcome. Basically, who is the person that they're going to turn into? It's very, very important. And also to understand that people buy with emotion and they justify with logic. That's how this works. You got to have both. I've read these sales books where they say, oh, it's all emotion, all emotion. No, it's not. It's both. Emotion is going to determine if they buy, and if they buy right now, they need to be emotionally invested to actually pull the trigger. But they also have to have a logical reason behind why they're doing it. They have to be able to justify it. When you have a lack of logic or justification, that's when you get situations of what they call buyer's remorse. So people that make a snap decision and then a day goes by, they think about it and they're like, I really haven't thought this through. I need to get more opinions. I need to do this, I need to do that. They don't have a good solid justification for why they did what they did. So most important topics to understand in building the market strategy. I'm going to give you 3 of them here, okay? Number 1, we have to shift the mindset of the patient from the pain point in the procedure, which is what they're focused on, whatever that pain point is. Now, the pain point could be physical pain. They're literally in pain. The pain point could also be emotional. It could be that they don't like the way that they look. It could be that they can no longer eat the foods that they can't eat steak anymore like they could in years past, or they're not as social, whatever it is. But they're fixated on not wanting something. And then they're fixated on whatever the procedure is going to be and making sure they get a good deal for it. We got to shift that to the clinical outcome. Forget the implant. What is the clinical outcome that you want? What are the emotions you're going to experience? We have to help them envision a better version of themselves. And we can do that with advertising if we have good assets. If you don't have good assets, you're using stock images. They look fake. They don't look real. You're using generic messaging just like everybody else. And if your message and your advertising looks like everybody else's, then what's the only thing that's going to set you apart? The only thing that's going to set you apart is your quote unquote call to action or your discount, right? You're going to be running a special. And that's why doctors run specials, because it's the only way they differentiate, because they don't have any good assets. They don't have anything good and compelling to show people. So it's a problem. It's something to really understand. Number 2, show them what their experience is going to be with you and your team. One of the biggest things that we do right off the bat, once we get a goal and we're creating a marketing strategy, the first thing I ask a client is, okay, show me what type of assets do you have? What are the best assets that you have that I can use to advertise? What are they? Show me. Do you have good, high quality before and after photos? How do I show clinical outcomes? Do you have video testimonials of your patients sharing their experience? Do you have video testimonials of yourself being interviewed in regards to your process or why you do what you do, answering frequently asked questions? What do we have that you feel confident putting your money behind to say, hey, if I put $5,000 behind this and I get 50,000 people to see it, this is really good material that's going to be compelling. And usually that's the biggest miss in all the advertising, is there was no time set aside to actually develop the assets. So we have no video, we have no custom photography, we have no really good custom copy, and therefore all the dollars you spend on marketing, you're spending the marketing to send the eyeballs to a message that is generic and plain. I'm not going to play the video because it's going to lag, but when you guys text at the end of the presentation, we'll shoot you guys over some example videos and some other examples of assets that we create that have worked really well. So just make sure to text in at the end, and you'll receive that. Number 3, we have to show them that you're a subject matter expert and a figure of authority, right? You want the easy cases, you got to look like the best. You want to look head and shoulders above. You don't want to be mistaken for just a regular plain Jane dentist online. And I say that, it doesn't mean that you are. It just means that when you look at your presence, what is the perception? Do you look any different? Okay. You want to make sure that you do, so you can get the easy cases, the laydowns, people that people that want to go to the best, second opinions, things like that. Okay, so websites like this that are going to be put together, that are clean, that have before and afters, that have patient stories, that have very, very clear branding, that have good call to actions, different ways to get in touch with the practice. These are some of the things that you have. This page, you can see that's a doctor actually explaining the procedure. A lot of people would rather would want to read less copy, and they want to watch more videos. They want to look at, they're more image driven. So we've got to have a place that shows you guys as subject matter experts, okay? And everything funnels back to the internet. If you look at some of the differences, this is just kind of a screenshot of, a website, just a regular PBHS website, but this is something that's typical, right? You can have every procedure in the world on your website, but look at the title. Is it compelling? No, full mouth dental implant. That's it. Full mouth implants. And then it's nothing but text. There's no human element. There's no CTA. This is something that's more of the rule than it is the exception for dental marketing, right? We don't want to mess with that. We want to have something that's geared towards a clinical outcome. They know they're on the implant page. They searched it, right? So you have to have a human element, and you want to show them who they can become, not that you place implants and this is an implant, crown, and an abutment. Who cares? It makes no difference in advertising. But something as simple as this, Smile Your Future just became much brighter, is something that can easily generate more leads and set you guys apart. So when you are ready to advertise, understand that there's people that are in buying cycle and you have to be specific. There's some people out there that are symptomatic, meaning that they're experiencing, loose teeth, cracked teeth, broken teeth, missing teeth, advanced periodontal disease. There's a lot of symptoms that people might search for that could be candidates for dental implants. They're just not aware that dental implants are an option yet. We can carve that marketplace out and advertise to them. You're advertising to people that you're going to get to before any of your competitors. Then people that are in the research mode, they know that they have a problem, but they're trying to decide what is best. So they might be searching something like implant-supported dentures versus all-on-4, something like that, for instance. They're not totally decided yet. And they have people that are just shopping price. They're going, Teeth Express price or all-on-4 cost or whatever it is, but they've made up their mind, okay, I need this and I'm going to do this. I just need to make sure I'm getting the best bang for my buck that's possible. Okay, so no matter what you do, we have clients that have TV campaigns. We do quite a bit of TV. We do quite a bit of radio. We do newspaper. We have seminars. We do direct mail. We'll advertise any way and every way necessary. That's what the advantage of being a full service agency is. We can do all those things. But everything that you do, especially with big cases, when you advertise in a creative fashion, even if it's just social media, you're going to drive a high percentage of whoever you advertise to your website. We're seeing on TV campaigns that the direct response rate is about 30% in terms of people that actually call the number or text the number that is on the TV. The other 70% is coming in through the website. So 7 out of 10, that's huge. So you have to make sure that the web presence is good, it's high quality, and you guys have good videography, good custom photos, and you clearly show that you're an expert. Experts give their expert opinion, right? And they show their work. Those are two things that a marketing company can't fabricate for you, right? We do have 9 full-time videographers and photographers that work here as W-2 employees. They've all been trained in dentistry. They know how to interview the patients. They know how to interview you. So we spend a lot of time creating those assets before we finish up a doctor's web presence. And there's cases where we might take 3 months just in building assets to get a doctor ready to advertise. But it's better to build good assets and do it right and put off advertising for a couple months than to just run right into a pay-per-click campaign or a direct mail campaign and show people a generic message. Okay? Everything pushes the internet and everything is mobile. Okay? So you have to make sure that, right now when we do websites, we don't even design them in desktop first. We do a mobile design first. The first thing that we do, we design it mobile, and then we figure out how it's going to be viewed on desktop. But we're getting almost 80% of our leads through mobile. You're talking 8 out of 10. So it has to be done. It has to be done well, and it has to be able to be viewed properly. And it's extremely, extremely important. If you miss this, you're going to have issues. So just a quick recap on the marketing essentials. Number 1, build your strategy by creating content using photography, videography, and copy, right? That's number 1. Number 2, be specific and target people in the buying cycle. If they're already in the buying cycle, those are the people that you want to start with because they close at the highest percentage. So think people that are searching symptoms, they're searching the difference between different treatment options, or they're searching price. And then understand the importance of mobile and convenience. Make it convenient for them to get the information that they want, and make sure that everything looks very, very good on mobile. You have click to call, you have some of the other basic things that you need. The main thing is make sure that it loads very, very quickly. Um, so as far as it goes with case acceptance, I'll give you guys 3 quick ones here. Okay, number 1, we have to standardize the sales process. Number 2, triage and scheduling. You can't schedule unqualified patients with terminal dentition and block out 60 minutes of doctor time. You can, but you're gonna have problems because you could easily have 30-40% no-shows. So we don't do that. We train on a 10-10-10 process. 10 minutes with the treatment coordinator, 10 minutes with the doctor and the treatment coordinator, and 10 minutes with the treatment coordinator for a close. And that's the consultation. You're going to do a CT, but it's going to be 10 minutes doctor time. And if they don't qualify in the first 10, they're not even going to see the doctor. That's the only way to efficiently do big volume. If you really want to be aggressive with implants, you are going to have to understand a sales process. And you're going to have the ability to triage, and you're going to have to block schedule. There's no other way. You might block, say, from 2 to 3:30, and you are double and triple booking patients in those blocks. Double, triple book them. You're going to have people no-show. So just plan on it. That's part of it, Very, very important. And also, we need to be able to show patients that they're going to get a great deal, okay? So when it comes to the sales process, the biggest thing is that we have a baseline script and process to show them what is going on and train them on anchors so they don't get lost. The biggest problem is they all say something different, right? Even in a practice, treatment coordinator says it different than the doctor, and the doctor says it different than the financial coordinator. There's no standardization. So when I go into coach, there's no starting point. I don't know what to coach on. It's different every single time. So that can't work. That's why companies have a sales process. That's why ClearChoice has been as successful as they have, because they hire salespeople, number 1, but number 2, they put them through 4 weeks of training before they ever see somebody. They're not going to sit right down in a consultation and just, hey, listen to Sally over here, and then you're going tomorrow. No, it's not like that. We're going to have somebody that's ready to schedule and triage the leads. Just go ahead and bank on 30% of them not showing up, and the ones that show up, half of them won't be qualified. So the point is triage and qualify quickly and efficiently so that the doctor's spending their time with the patients that can buy, and the treatment coordinators are spending their time with the patients that can't buy. The best salesperson in the world can't close somebody that literally can't buy what it is that you're selling. That's why in sales, everyone has a pre-qualifying process. It's just a lot of times in dentistry, we don't. It's the same consultation for everybody. It's crazy. And then we want to make sure we have bundled treatment plans to show value and show them they're getting a good deal, right? They have to know they're getting a good deal. It doesn't matter. Price is always a factor here, and it's always going to be a big factor, okay? So we have to show them that you're paying under retail, okay? The problem is most doctors, let's say you're charging $25,000 for an arch, they'll just say it's $25,000 and includes everything, right? Well, if you say that, then $25,000 looks like retail. I don't like that. I want to put, okay, no, forget the $25,000. What are all the things that you do for a full arch implant case? List them out and give me the retail. How much would it be for X amount of extractions? How much would it be for bone grafting? How much do you normally charge for the full exam? How much do you normally charge for the maintenance visits? What do you normally charge for the bite guard? All these different things. So I like to put it all on there. And if you're charging $25,000, I like to show the patients that they're getting $32,000, $33,000, $34,000, $35,000 in value. And then you can tell them, listen, because this is a procedure we do a lot, let me show you at some of the different things that are going to be included at no additional charge to help make this a little bit more affordable. And then you can cross those things off, take it from $35,000 to $25,000, and show them that they're getting to $10,000 in cost savings. And it's an important step, because if you don't, it doesn't matter how good of a deal they're getting, they still view that number as retail, and their brains will want to shop it, especially if they're early on in the process, just because they don't know what the fair market value is. It's not like they can't afford it, but they're going, I don't know, is 25 high? Is it low? Is it in the middle? I don't know. So they're going to shop around. I don't want them to shop. I want them to say, wow, I'm getting a lot here. I'm getting a big bang for my buck. We also like to include warranties. Give the patient recourse. Guys, at the end of the day, I've got some doctors like, oh God, I don't want to do a warranty on the bridge or the implants. I said, if you're doing full arch cases, you're already warranting the work. Don't tell me if you do a full arch, someone pays you $25,000 or $30,000 and they're coming back for all the maintenance and doing what they need to do and they have a problem. Don't tell me you're not going to fix it. You're already going to fix it. So they already get a warranty. So let's just create the warranty so that you can show them they have recourse and get the sales benefit from it. Your patient financing, I only know two players in the space. Okay, when it comes to big loans, if you're doing multi-implant cases in volume, you better know what you're doing when it comes to financing. You better have some good options, right? There's Proceed Finance, there's Green Sky. These are the two companies that really specialize in loaning big dollar amounts. They're both very good. They're just different. Proceed has a little bit more flexibility because they have their own fund. Green Sky is syndicated with a lot of different banks, so they'll shop it. But you're going to get higher approval rates with these two companies than you are anywhere else. So if you only have a couple options like a Care Credit or a Lending Club or something like that, then you're not even in the market. You're going to have you're not even going to have anywhere near close to the approvals and the dollar amount approvals if you don't have the right financing options for these big cases. Okay, so here's some of the common questions that I get. Right, how much does it cost to work with you? And I say the same thing every time. The cost just reflects what your goals are. That's it. There's no minimum at all. Does social media work? Does TV work? Does direct mail work? Does SEO work? It all works for what it's supposed to work for, right? Social media has probably the lowest cost in terms of impressions that you can get right now. TV, yeah, it's going to work. It's going to get you in front of people. SEO, yeah, it can work. Pay-per-click, it can all work. But working means just getting the impressions. Okay, that's what the tactic is. What are your most successful clients have in common? They're engaged, by far. There's no doubt that my most successful clients are engaged. They're engaged, they listen, and they work hard to make improvements. It's not something that have just a blueprint, a template, a bundle, some silver bullet for you guys to follow that's going to put you in the ballpark of doing 2-3 arches a week. So it's a change in your communication, your sales process, your advertising, how you advertise, how you think. And the clients that do the best, they understand that they're going to fail many times, and they're ready for that, and we're ready to make adjustments and fix it. That's the biggest difference. How long does it take for me to see an ROI? Completely depends on how efficiently we schedule and close the patients. With us, I can't speak for other companies, but with us, when you start advertising, you don't have a ramp up time to see leads. You see leads immediately. The advertising starts and you get leads. That's how that works. The more aggressive you are, the more leads and more opportunities you have. So the more opportunities you have, the more opportunity you have to fail and still do well, because these are big cases. And how do I target qualified people, right? How do I avoid people with no money? And I tell them, don't worry about it so much. Just worry about how to triage more effectively. Once you try to eliminate all of this, eliminate all people that aren't going to buy it, you end up just exposing your message to such a small group that you can never hit any numbers. So I go with the people first that have the biggest need and have the largest amount of urgency, and we go from there. But if you generate 50 leads in a month and, half of them can't afford it or they don't show up, and you got 25 left over and you can close, 5 to 10, then you're doing really well. So think about closing 10% of all the leads you get for full arch or dental implants, and you're doing amazing. That's still bringing in a 10 to 1, 15 to 1 ROI, numbers like that. And then how do we work with you? We have 3 different capacities. So one capacity is our continuing education, our coaching products. So we have a Catalyst course that we hold regionally. We have the Closing Institute, which is something where we work with treatment coordinators every month. We train them on scripts. We certify them in the sales process. And then we do other things in office. So that would be, our clients that need the coaching. We work with some clients in that capacity only. There's other clients that just need our help with asset development, designing and developing a website or copy or videography or logos, different things like that. We've got some clients that have just hired us just to do design and development and help them with assets. And then the majority of our clients want us to handle their ongoing marketing. Because we're full service agency, we can pretty much oversee every aspect. We're not just a digital marketing company. So we can handle all three, we can handle one, we can handle none, but these are the three capacities that we can work with you in. Okay, so first step, what's the first step to work with us? Number one, text the word implants to 727-314-7991, and you can schedule a free consultation. It gives you a full analysis. We help you build a strategy, whether you go with us or not. But over that call, we'll discuss your goals, your timeline, what your current marketing strategy is, where you're strong, where you're weak, and help you put together a business plan. So you can either text the word implants, or you can call or email us.